Simply Tammy.
It's a blessing that I'm here, I'm alive. No, I never ever have to cry, cause it's something I know will always work for me on my side. Not a thing I even have to fight, all things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the love come alive. Sharing the truth that inspires, sharing the truth that inspires, sharing the truth that inspires. All things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the joy come alive, watch the joy. Sharing the truth that inspires.
Inspired to love, inspired to grow, inspired to heal, inspired to live. Simply Tammy.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is Simply Tammy, and we are back for another amazing episode of Women Who Win. So thank you guys who consistently join me each week for these amazing conversations that I get to have with women who are willing to be transparent, to share their challenges and triumphs, to encourage you that whatever it is you're facing, that you too can conquer whatever it is that's trying to conquer you. So do what it says scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Please share the broadcast. Go ahead and like or love the broadcast, and that will get some other eyes on this, not just because we want people to watch, but we want people to be encouraged and motivated. And I know that my guest tonight is going to drop some amazing wisdom that is going to help every person that has an opportunity to hear it. And after you share, after you like, make sure that you have already, if you haven't, liked and followed the Simply Tammy page on Facebook, and then go on over to YouTube, search for Simply Tammy. You'll see my picture, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You guys that did so last week, thank you so much. We reached the goal for that week, but we always want more viewers, more followers, more subscribers. So please go ahead and do that and encourage others to do the same. So we also have some announcements that will be coming up at the end of the broadcast about how you can stay connected to not only this platform, but to some other things that I have going on. So thank you for your consistent support. I'm not going to delay it any longer. Again, as I said, I have an amazing guest tonight, and I cannot wait to bring her before your front. So I am going to go ahead and put up her graphic so I can read her bio and we can bring her on. And I'm just going to read a brief portion of her bio. Debra D. Winans is CEO of Linking Solutions, a marketplace network company and opportunity broker. Debra is the author of Life Altered, Not Over, My Silent Journey to Wholeness, which deals with the recovery process of divorce, that the purpose of God for our lives does not change like our circumstances. Debra's undying motto is, I wasn't married into a purpose, I was created with purpose. Debra's passion is to see men and women walk in their divine purpose in spite of all the tragic circumstances in their lives, to be whole in every area of life, and to live in a place of freedom, peace, and the pursuit of purpose. Ms. Winans has earned numerous certificates for teaching, training, and counseling in sexual assault advocacy training. It is no wonder that she has become a highly sought after motivational speaker and teacher, gracing colleges and conferences all over the country. Her pearls of wisdom, foresight, and understanding are precious commodities that many are seeking. Debra has earned a Bachelor of Science in Organization and Communications with a minor in Women and Gender Studies at Middle Tennessee State University, and she has received an honorary doctorate in philosophy from Trinity International University of Ambassadors College. Debra served on the President's Commission for Women at Middle Tennessee State University, and she has two beautiful children, Maya Destiny and Benjamin David, the love of her life. So without further ado, good evening, good
Good
evening, good
evening.
evening.
Hello, hello.
Thank you again so much for saying yes. I'm so very excited to have you on. When I spoke with you yesterday, it was such a conversation of igniting that I was like, whew, I don't know what tonight's gonna hold, but I'm looking forward to it. So I typically like to, share, well, how do I know my guests? How did I meet my guests? And I have not formally yet, who knows what the future holds, met Dr. Debra in person, but I saw another interview that she did, and I could hear her heart and her passion for helping men and women through similar journeys and telling their stories. And when I saw that and heard that, I was like, I want to talk to her. So thank you again so much for saying yes to being my guest on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be a part of this platform, Tammy. Thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome. So I want to start out with the question because as I read your book, which, it talks intensely about your journey, it was like a process of becoming and self-discovery for you.
Mhm.
So if you had to fill in the blank of the road to self-discovery is filled with, what words would you, or what statement would you put after that?
Commitment and truth.
Okay.
Because when you are on a road to discovery, you're not discovering so much about someone else
Mm-hmm.
or the person that hurt you
Mm-hmm.
or the person that could be responsible for the situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot control anybody but you. So your journey truly is about you. That's part one. But even while you're in that journey, you have to be prepared to hear and receive and understand truth about yourself
Mm-hmm.
that you may not even discover, you may not have known,
Mm-hmm.
but it's real.
So one of the things that I really enjoyed as I was reading your book was how you went back to childhood and
Mhm.
journeyed forward.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about your upbringing and why you felt it was important to go back during your healing process.
Sure. Who you are, the sum of who you are started somewhere. And typically it starts at the beginning. So I grew up with my mother and father were in ministry. My father was a pastor. My mom was a church pianist who was a trained classic pianist. And I had 5 brothers and 1 sister. So I'm number 7. God saved the absolute best for last. And so ministry is what we knew. We had family drama like every other breathing family on the earth. But my foundation was very solid. And it was filled with love. It was filled with Christian principles. They taught us to serve in ministry and to love what we do in ministry, which I still do to this day. And so when I look back on the beginning, my dad died when I was very young. I was 2 years old when he died.
Mm-hmm.
So she raised 7 children on her own.
Wow.
So me, the Miss Inquisitive, asking all the questions, thinking I'm the Holy Spirit's administrative assistant. I did even then, right? I asked her because she was beautiful. My mom was
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful woman, very attractive. And I know men were hitting on her, because she was
Right.
a bad girl, And I asked her, why would you not marry again? And it was like, that was a conversation that we weren't going to have. The statement was, he was your father, he was my only husband, and that's it. So she came from that generation where they didn't talk. So she died with a whole lot of secrets.
Yeah.
I've heard things here and there, and with my inquisitive mind, I wanted to know. And so I learned very early on that keeping and holding things was not something that I was going to do. So even when I had children, we're not doing that, because there are things that patterns and habits that have developed, and I'm like, where is this stuff coming from?
Wow. Yeah.
Where is it coming from? And I had no point of reference because my mom was gone, my dad is gone, my godmother was gone, who was real close to my mother. And, I was prepared to ask her a list of questions, and she dies the year she's supposed to come and see me. And it was like, wow. And that's when God told me, I said, I need to know these things. He said, no, you need to trust. So I had to learn. My brother was one who, when I went through all that tragedy in the divorce, my brother was the one who brought me back to reality.
Wow.
And reminded me of our godly heritage.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, okay, because I forgot. That's not where my mind was. So when he talked about that, I started remembering and reminiscing. And I thought, wow, God's hand has always been on my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned your father passed at 2, and in the book you talk about your mother passed when you were 15.
Yes.
And then you ended up having to go live with your older brother. And, as I told you when we talked, I was in my very early 30s when my mom passed. I could not have imagined losing my mom as a teenager. So how did that shape your development as a young woman? Because those 15 to 25, those are those shaping years. And that's as you begin to learn who you are, that's, how you start identifying who you think you need to be with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, my sister-in-law, I became 21 overnight, because when my mom passed, I was home, 48 hours after her funeral. I had a whole nother life in a very different state. I went from California to Cleveland, Tennessee. Go figure. And so my sister-in-law was my mother figure, but there is a difference between someone raising you and someone mothering you. She raised me. And so and I was very close to my mom. So God knew that I needed that. So he would send these amazing women in my life who taught me and trained me and talked with me. It's nothing like your own mom, but God was so gracious. He was so gracious to me and so merciful that he sent these women, these powerhouse women, to equip me with what I need. I still miss her. The older I get, the more I miss her, which I thought would never happen, but I do, because I'm a mother and I went through stuff, and I'm like, God, if I could just hear her voice, because she was that kind of woman that was the neighborhood mom. There was always people in my house. The neighborhood drunk was in our living room, sitting down, talking to my mom, even while she was sick. So I knew people loved her. At her funeral, it was standing room only, So she was dearly loved. And there's so much I didn't get from her, but God sent these women and they changed my life forever.
Yeah. Yeah. He's sweet like that.
He is.
Sure
He
that
is.
when there is a gap, that because he knows that there's an end that you have to get to, that he sees to it that it's filled in. So want to start with, there's a quote in the book, like right off the jump, page 2. I'm like, and I will bring up details about the book for those of you that are watching about how you can get it. But you said, do you ever wonder why the price to move to the next dimension of emotional development is so incredibly high? Can you talk about
it's high because you don't know what is getting ready to cost you to become healthy. It costs or to have emotional stability. To get emotional stability and healing, first of all, you get stripped down of your ideology, to your concepts, to what your belief system. It is all stripped to nothing, and you are bare bones, and you're rebuilding, which means your relationships change, your thinking process changes, how you see changes. People are they not getting with you? you know, and they have a whole lot to say, and your heart begins to hurt because people that you thought, it's still me. I'm just going through this metamorphosis. I'm just going through this transformation. It's still me. But then they begin to keep their distance because you're going in a direction that they are not accustomed to you being. And it can be very lonely. It costs you.
Wow.
It costs you to stand by yourself, to reboot, to and grow and learn and hold your and close your mouth. Because you can't always, when you're in that process, God doesn't always allow you to tell what he's doing. Sometimes you just have to be quiet. It's like suffering in silence almost. And you're like, that means you can't defend yourself. You can't I should say you can't. It's not wise to defend yourself or try to give an explanation when people are going to come to their own conclusions anyway. And it's lonely.
Very true.
It's lonely. So you wonder, like, how come I just can't heal and keep these relationships? How come I can't just heal and still be who I am? How come you can't? Because it is a stripping. Wow. It is a tearing away. It is a digging out so that you can truly see who you are and recognizing the lies that you believed all of your life about who you are or who you are not. So it's a pretty serious journey.
Wow. So after being married for 16 years and whether it's the light comes on or, you know, as we were talking, like you look at this is my reality now. You know, my parents were married to death and now I'm divorced and now I'm raising my children alone. What was your thought process when you realized your reality?
Oh, Lord. Woo! I cried a whole lot. There were a lot of tears because I never imagined I would be in this place. So all 5 of my brothers have long relationships, 28 plus years of marriage. And here I am, divorced. It was a lot. So I think what I came to the conclusion, I looked at Maya and Benjamin one day and I told them, I said, we are going to have to make some adjustments because our whole life changed. I don't think he missed a beat, but our whole life was altered. And so having to have that conversation with your children was very tough. So we couldn't shop where we used to shop. You know, we couldn't do some of the things in places that we are accustomed. Our lifestyle changed.
Wow.
So, but helping them to adapt. And I always try to help them to see that the Lord is with us. I said, God is with us. He's not left us. And he's going to give us everything back the enemy stole. You just watch. So I kept that in front of them so that they would know that God is with us. He's not failed us. Men have failed us, but God has never failed us. People have lied, but God is incapable of lying. I had to, because they were beginning to question, you know, well, how come? And I had to just really give it to them where they understood it, so that as we were making the new adjustments and we were getting acclimated to where we were, we could still move forward.
Absolutely. So let's see. You talk about one of the things that you mentioned, and this area is always sensitive for me because my older sister passed away 5 years ago. Well, 10 years ago. It was in um, 2011. It was 5 years after my mom. While you were walking through the process of the divorce, your older sister, who you were extremely close to, passed away.
Yeah.
How was that weight on top of what you were already experiencing?
Well, let me give you a little backstory, and you can see it was very weighty. My ex, I'd taken a job in Dallas, Texas, and I was in training. So I was gone 4 days, home 3, gone 4 home. And I had someone living with me in our home, and she was amazing, and the kids loved her. And so I was divorced. I was newly divorced. I had an amazing job opportunity. Excuse me, I had just got a brand new home in my name, and it was gorgeous, and I was on my own. I was so excited. And he pulled the okey doke and filed this petition with the court. And we had to go to court. I'm flying back and forth without going to these gory, crazy details. But he did some really whacked stuff. Just putting it out there. So the judge ruled that I could keep my house, keep my job, but I could not move my children out of the state of Tennessee. Well, there is no way on this side of heaven or hell was I going to let that happen, leave my children.
Right.
And so I'm packing up, having to put my brand new house on the market, come back to no job, come back to a house that I was renting my home. And it's like everything just went downhill. It was just crazy. So I was standing in the airport, getting ready to board the plane to come home, and my sister calls me on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking. Her voice was very weak, and she's like, "Are you here yet?" And I said, "No, I'm at the airport. I'm going to be there soon." And this is when she said to me, she said, "Okay, I'll wait for you." And Tammy, the way she said it, I was like, my eyes got full of water. I started getting choked up, and I said, "Girl, you're not going no, you're not going nowhere." You know, I was trying to. So I had all this loss. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my opportunity. I almost lost my children. Only God, and he's tried several times to get custody, and it was just a lot. Excuse me. So I hang up the phone, and I was like, I don't know how much more this I can take. I don't know how much more. So I land in Nashville. They pick me up, grab my kids, and we drive to Atlanta. And no one told me how bad it was.
Oh, wow.
So I heard her, and I know what I heard. It didn't sound good. And when I saw her, she was like a rail. I had seen her 4 months prior, and she was looking great. So she had cancer, colon cancer. And so she's down to nothing, So 20 days later, I lose my sister. So I had all this grieving the loss of my job, grieving being this independent woman in this place, having to all of these adjustments. I was constantly making adjustments. And I was like, God, you have got to be kidding me. This is too much. Mm-hmm. This is just too much. I don't know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I want to trust you, but I can't trace you. I don't know where you are. I'm not understanding this. Why does it seem like he's constantly getting away with stuff? I mean, that was just one of them kind of conversations we were having. And he just kept saying, trust me. I need you to trust me. And I was like, so I lose my sister, my only sister. And I remember the day she passed, I was sitting in my brother's house, and I remember feeling so lost and just numb. I'm like, what in the world do I do without my sister? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you took my mama, you took my dad. Come on, my sister.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it was a dark time. It
Yeah.
was really tough. But my children, I had to live for my kids. I had to keep moving for my kids, and it took me a very long time to grieve all of that because I
Mm-hmm.
was her. She gave me power of attorney, so I had to take care of her arrangements, take all of her business. And when I get into business mode, I don't have time for nothing else. I'm in business mode, and so it was probably 2 years later when I finally grieved her.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy.
So you also talk about, and it's kind of a comical part in the book, what you were being told to do to save your marriage. And so I'm gonna make this a two-part question during that time, because anytime that we are in the midst of something and we are wanting God to do it a certain way, we are open, like, God,
Mhm.
tell me what to do and consider it done. So
Mhm.
what was some of the best advice you received, if any, during that time, and what was some of the worst advice you received?
The worst advice was put on something sexy, comb your hair over to your left eye, put rose petals, all of that.
It had to be on the left eye.
Left eye,
Okay.
specifically the left eye. I still don't understand what the left or right got to do with anything. Um, and this is, I'm not going to say this was worst advice, but this is when I had to separate church semantics. So anoint your doorposts, which I did because I was so desperate. I did whatever I was told, but none of that mattered if you don't have agreement to
Mm,
bring healing to the marriage. There was
that's
no
powerful.
agreement.
That's
You
powerful.
understand?
Yes.
And you can fast and pray to your purple 40 days, 40 now. I've drank holy water. It did not do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making that clear because somebody may say, I did it. Okay, God bless you. It didn't do anything for me. It didn't do because um, there was just all of this typical advice as a woman. The best advice I received is a dear friend of mine is a clinical psychologist and a pastor. And she calls me one day and she says, Debra, I know you're wondering why I'm calling you so often because she's extremely busy. Right? I said, yeah, that's very strange. She said, I'm calling to hear if I need to admit you into a hospital or if I need to prescribe medication for you
Mm,
because your soul has been traumatized.
wow.
And my response was, really? I was like, how is that possible? Because when I think of trauma, I think of a big gash in the head, a tree limb through the stomach, something. But that's what I look like on the inside. And she said, we're going to walk with you to be healed from the trauma of what has just occurred to you, for you. And then she said to me, you are going to go through a painful divorce, but the operative word is you're going to go through it. And I cannot tell you what a relief it was for me because I kept hearing, God said he gonna do, and God said, and I have to share this, and I don't mean to go off script here, but this is really important. I have a folder. I don't know if you believe in the prophetic word of the Lord or not, but I have a folder that where the word was transcribed, and I would go back, date it, and I would read it, and it became strength to me many days. And one day, Tammy, I was reading through, and I was reading, and I said, "Oh my God, oh my God. Not one time did the word say he was restoring my marriage. He said he was restoring me.
Wow.
And I saw how I had manipulated the prophetic word of the Lord to say what I wanted it to say. And I sat back in my chair and I thought, God, you are like killing me here. But he needed me to see, because truth, that's how am I going to help unlock the soul of men and women if we don't operate in truth?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the advice came, that was the best advice. And she started showing me the steps. And the first thing I had to do was walk in truth.
That's good. That's good. And you mentioned that advice came from a friend, and I thought that it was beautiful that you dedicated a chapter in the book to your friends and talked about, you kind of went through your relationship dynamic with each one of them, and then they shared words with you. How important were your relationships, and what transitions did you experience during this time?
The relationships are vital, and friendships come there for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And when you go through any kind of tragedy or trauma or pain or separation, you learn quickly who your friends are and who they are not. That in itself is extremely painful. So the people that were with me, they were true to our friendship. And if they didn't know something, they didn't know. They weren't trying to fix it, wasn't trying to spiritualize it, just wasn't, they weren't doing that. And so I remember reading, and this is in my book, but I remember reading in, I think it's First Kings, when Solomon was naming his administration, when he became president, and he was king, right? And he was naming his administration. He named all these different offices. And this is what blew me away. He said, Zadok, friend, a priest and friend to the king. That was his office. Wow. That he valued friendship so that he made it an office. And what's crazy is Zabud's dad was Nathan. I know, right? I was like, whoa, that is so good.
Yeah.
So, friendships, they come, they go, they change. When people show you who they are, believe it. Absolutely. You can't take everybody with you. And you have to be willing to just adjust to that with tears running down your face. But make the adjustment so that God can bring in. Because I was going through a very different season. And another thing about these friendships, people have a tendency to keep you in a place that they last dealt with you. And you have not been there in 10 years.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned, and this was another quote that I highlighted in the book, is neutral has no voice. And that was in that friendship chapter.
Yeah. You don't tell me. I had a lady say to me one time, she said, I got your back, girl. I got your back. And I said, really? I said, because if I call you at 3 o'clock in the morning and tell you I can't breathe, are you ready to breathe for me? My life is in crisis here. Don't play with me. Don't do it.
Right.
And the fact that you don't say anything is saying it's so loud. And I'm not saying everybody has to get involved, but I'm trying to I still haven't figured this out. What does taking sides have to do with the truth? What does being in a relationship with the people have to do with taking sides? I don't understand that concept. Because I can still be friends with both parties. I'm still going to tell you the truth. I don't have to divorce my friendship with you because you divorced my friend.
Right.
Why are we doing that? What are we doing? Until it happens to you. When it happens to you, to them, I got a lot of apologies afterwards because they too were walking through this place. And I was like, I get it. I understand. But I'm not gonna shun you. I'm not gonna do you like you did me. I'm gonna walk with you because I understand what you're getting ready to face. You've never been here before. I have. So I can walk with you simply because I love you.
That's good. That's good. So one of the intricate parts, and kind of bringing it back to the quote that you that we talked about on page 2, at what point did you know you were ready to share your story and be a catalyst to help other people walk through theirs?
I know this is going to sound really petty, but I'm being really honest. When I always journaled. I've been journaling since I was 15 years old. So I've always journaled. But when I could listen to my ex on the radio and it didn't hurt anymore.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I knew that I was further along than I realized. Because there was a time I was trying to snatch the radio out of the car. Okay. You know.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, yeah, say boy, you know. And when I knew that God was healing me, I knew I wasn't going to write with venom. I knew I could write from a place of healing. I knew I wasn't going to write a tell-all because a tell-all heals no one.
Absolutely.
But I knew that, and the Lord, he put it in my spirit. He said, there are people I'm sending you to. And I was like, what am I going to say? And I would write. And it came up out of me, and it came through my experience, and it came through people that I've walked with through the years, before divorce and after, you know. And so because it's my passion to see people walk in healing. So I knew I was going to write because I had an assignment. So now I knew the purpose of my writing. I knew the purpose of my pain. And so I didn't have to write from a bitter place, but I could write from a better place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, one of the things that you and I talked about was the deficit that often gets identified in both men and women once they are in relationship. We didn't realize that we didn't get whatever it was we needed growing up. And so how have you taken your journey to try to help women identify some of those deficits pre-marriage?
I spend a lot of time talking to women about themselves, and you find out how much they don't know about themselves, you know, through conversation. And we can have a conversation, and I'll say, well, why do you believe that? Why do you think that way? Where did that come from? Who told you that? I ask the questions. I ask these provoking questions to make them think. And they're like, oh, well, I didn't know. I said, yeah, because what happens when you start thinking like this is going to affect that. And then when you affect that, it's definitely going to affect this. And they're like, I didn't know.
Yes.
So I love helping them to see, open their eyes. It's not about finding a man, walking down the aisle, planning for a wedding, and not preparing for a marriage. It's a whole lot of work that has to be done before that even occurs. Take yourself out to dinner. Take yourself to a movie. Take yourself shopping. Take yourself on vacation. Fall in love with who God created you. And learn what your talents are, what your abilities are, things that you take for granted. You know, it's like, God, what am I supposed to do with it? You gave it to me. So what do you want me to do with it? and enjoy friendships. I mean, those are some seeming basic things, but you would be surprised how many women and men don't even think that way.
Absolutely.
It's like foreign. You're like, wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
want I my goal is always to open their eyes so they can see.
Yes. Yes. So did you struggle with positioning your voice in this sphere of helping people, or I'll say on the other end of that, was there any taunting from the enemy? How can you when this happened?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was real loud. That Negro was loud in my ear. You know what you gonna talk about? I would get these people were asking me to come speak and stuff, and sometimes I was like turning them down. They were like not taking no for an answer. And I'm like, oh my God, what? Because in my job, I had a job where I was speaking all the time, so people would see, and then God just opened doors, and I was struggling because I'm like, what do I have to say? And he
Mm-hmm.
said, you're going to say my truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're going to say. You're going to say my word. You're going to tell your experience. And you're going to talk about where I was, where you put me, where you allowed me. So the enemy was talking loud. And I literally would just say, you need to shut up. Not today. I know.
Wow.
That
Yeah.
Deborah Winans is off. Yeah, you can't say what you want. I had to put stickies on my mirror.
Absolutely.
You are the head. You are the tail. You're not the tail. You are a sharp Black educated woman. I had to put those things in writing and remind myself because the
Mm-hmm.
enemy knows who you are. That's why he keeps taunting you.
Mm-hmm.
He knows. He knows the damage that you will do and
Wow.
have done. That's why if he's not talking, then you ain't doing nothing. You're no threat to the kingdom, to his kingdom. So I made up my mind that I was not what my ex said I was. Some man is gonna love the mess out of me. You understand? I've been
Absolutely.
preserved for him.
Mm-hmm.
I had to just tell myself, you're gonna be amazing. You got all this love stored up, and you're gonna be able to release all of that and some
Mm-hmm.
with the man that God sends you. I made it my daily conversation, and the
Mm-hmm.
voices were lessened. He still tries to come, and I still have to say, no, you're a liar. That's what you do. There is no
Absolutely.
truth in you.
Absolutely.
Now get up out of here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have talked significantly about Dr. Deborah's journey and her book. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the graphic for those of you that are listening and watching. It is available on Amazon. You can go to her website, debradwinans.com, and Cash App. If you send her Cash App, is it still $12?
Yes.
Okay, it's $12. So $12 Cash App, and you would put your address in the memo line, and
Yes.
you can get. And believe you me, I have my copy. It is definitely, definitely, definitely worth um, the read. So when you are not, speaking and facilitating and helping empower other men and women, or writing um, books, what is it that you do to care for yourself?
I'm actually working on the ghostwriting project. I'm also working on my second book. Excuse me. And what I do to take care of me is my downtime is I love movies. I am a movie buff. I need stock in Netflix.
Yeah, I can tell in your book. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I love movies because I am so visual, and I see something, I'm like, oh yes. So I love movies. I have some great friendships,
mm-hmm,
and I don't mind being by myself. You know, whether I take a bubble bath or just sit up in my bed and just chill, or which is 95% of the time I'm in my office on the computer. But I'm at this really different place in my life, this different season, and
mm-hmm,
some things just don't matter. I I try not to let things ruffle me. I'm very confrontational when I need to. I don't like I don't do drama at all. Don't do it. So I nip it in the bud if it comes my way. I have an amazing team that works with me. They're incredible. They're from in their 30s to their 50s. I love it, And so I just try to be a better Debra, and love on my babies. So they're not babies, but my daughter was just in town, and she came in town with two friends of hers, and just trying to live this life and be happy at being me.
Yes, absolutely. So, beach or mountains, if you had to choose for a vacation? Beach or mountains?
Oh, beach.
Beach. I thought so with
I am
the
a
chapter.
water girl.
If you have the chapter, if the ocean could speak, and I'm like,
I love the water. As a matter of fact, I'm going on vacation end of this month. I am so excited. I'm going to the beach.
Good.
I love the beach, but I love nature too.
Okay.
I do. I love nature. Now I'm not trying to do a whole bunch of hiking, and I'll look up and look at the mountains, and we'll drive through the mountains. But
absolutely.
But I love the beach. I love the beach.
Good. Okay. So I'm going to, before we have you share your whatever you feel to share for motivation or encouragement, I'm going to put up how people can connect with you. This is her website, Debra D. Winans. And again, you can get the book from her website as well as, and we put this up earlier, you can cash app for the book. And as she said, she has some other things coming up. So I encourage you to connect with this amazing woman. She's so full of wisdom. I knew after having the initial conversation with her, the interview, I was like, yeah, I mean, you are, I think what I appreciate the most, and you and I talked about this, is that you're having the conversations that women need to have, coming from homes where things were not discussed and things were not talked about, and then you move forward making mistakes. So then you're trying to rectify mistakes without the information.
Exactly. So, exactly. And and my kids are like, Ma, I cannot believe you asked me that. I mean, I'll just go there. And they're like, oh my God. I do, because there is nothing like, I tell my children, if I give you the information, it's power. So when you're dealing with something, you know how to. Absolutely. And I just don't think we do a great job in the church of talking about real life, everyday issues. We know how to speak in tongues. We know how to lay hands. We know how to shout. We know to quote the scriptures. We know how to testify. We know how to be in 1,500 different departments. We know how to do church, but how do we do life? Yeah. How do we live? How do I tell a single mom who has raising 3 boys? What do we tell her when she doesn't know what to do, when there's no man and they've got 3 different baby daddies and she's trying to, what are we telling her? Right. Absolutely. You understand what I'm saying? And we had a woman who was married to somebody in leadership, and he's beating her for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and she can tell no one. What are we doing? So we cannot hide behind this stuff, or kids are being molested by somebody right there that and you just, honey, just pray and just trust God. No, report their behind to the police and go get that baby some help. That's just where we are, because we are jacked up from spiritualizing and covering stuff, and we are toxic. We are toxic with this craziness. And then when God does start sending things, and he does start pulling covers, and he does start peeling layers, we freak out. Now we got to go get on medication because we don't know what to do. We're just dealing with life. Absolutely. I mean, he wants us whole, He wants us whole. He wants us to be at peace. He wants us to, the scripture that talks about, though I prepare a table before you in the presence of my enemies. Well, how are we going? And we quote that all the time. Well, how he going to prepare a table if you don't even know who your enemies are? Why is he preparing a table before you? Why? Why did he try to kill you at 5 or damage you at 5 to only try to ruin you at 50? Why is the enemy trying to kill you? We're asking the wrong questions. We're too busy being legalistic about pants and makeup and jeans and stupid stuff when we're dying here.
Absolutely.
When our youth don't want nothing to do with God. We loved going to church when I was a teenager. You can't get these jokers in the church right now. They're like, I ain't got no, something is wrong. Something's wrong. So how do we help our kids to deal with same-sex marriages when they go to school? How do we talk to them? Just plead the blood of Jesus. They don't even know what that means. They don't even know what it means. So I get irritated when the emails, Tammy, that I'm getting, the letters, the emails, the messages that I get are heart-wrenching. They're heart-wrenching. And you got a woman who's been married 30-something years, and her husband hasn't touched her in 20 years, and they're in the leadership of the church. Nobody's talking. Nobody's talking. Why is that? I know, I'm sorry.
No.
Let me pull it back in.
Wow.
It's just true.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can't hide it. We cannot hide from if the coronavirus didn't teach us anything, it taught us what we really believe or what we don't believe. Because the doors of the church are shut. Who is God to you? All this we've learned, all this we've heard. What are you going to do with it?
Yes.
Now is where the rubber meets the road.
Absolutely.
So don't get along at home. The domestic violence, the divorce rate has skyrocketed during that because now you're in the house, you're closed in, and you have no place to go. It's time that God wants us to be a people to walk in reality so that we can truly be free. We talk about it all day long.
Yeah.
But what does it mean? How do I get there? What measures do I take? Where do I start? What do I do with this? I am dying inside. What do I do with this? And I think one of my angry places was when not the church mothers, a particular woman told me, if you file for the divorce, the curse is on you. And I believed it because but then there was something about it. I heard it. I believed it for a moment. Then I said, wait a minute. Wait. I'm cursed. I don't want to be cursed. So that means I stay in a loveless relationship? Is that what I'm doing? For the glory of God? Really? Oh, we have work to do. We have work to do. I know you're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No. I'm my mind. I'm one of those things. I process what I'm hearing so that and I'm listening so that I know. I'm like, all of this is good, and I'm so glad this platform gives you the liberty to fully be and express. So no, you're good. I'm just trying to formulate what I want to ask or say next. Like, like I told you after we talked, I'm like, all of these questions start popping up in my mind. So
I think, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think one of the things that, to anybody who is listening and will listen to this, I think you have to be honest with yourself about where you are. Mm-hmm. Not what you prayed for, not what you believing for, but where you are. And until you answer that, mm-hmm. you can't go any further.
Very true.
Even if it's, I don't know what I believe. I'm in a place, I'm disoriented. I don't know if I trust. I've been in church all my life, and I don't know if I believe that anymore. God is not going to fall off of his throne because you're honest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, we were taught, don't you ask God. He said, if we need wisdom, ask him. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. You can be honest about where you are. You can be honest that your heart is broken, even though nobody knows it. And you are functioning because you a boss girl, you a boss lady, you a bad boss, and you a bad empowered black woman, all of that. And you're dying inside. Broken to pieces. You can be honest with God about that.
Absolutely.
And he will send the help. And I love, and I say this all the time, and probably just about every interview, I love what Dr. Anita Phillips says. She says, therapy is a strategy. So she says, prayer is a weapon, and therapy is a strategy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we need to go get help.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's not the devil. It's not a spirit. Sometimes you might need medication. I mean, I'm just saying. Sometimes you may need someone to walk you through the process. Because we, especially Black people, we have all these traumas in our life, and they just pile on top of each other. They just keep piling. They keep piling. So when I lost my job, lost my home, lost this and lost that, lost my sister, all this, I wasn't dealing with it till my body started breaking down. Because I was a master at carrying the weight and keep moving until my body said, oh, okay, you think you're going to keep going? I don't think so. And that joker shut all the way down where I'm on my back and there's nothing I can do but deal.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Let's not have to be forced to deal with truth. And I'm not saying you got to dump everything in one time, but it's having an honest conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm not healed. I'm still want that person dead. I am so serious.
No, as I told you, I've had several friends that have walked through this, and I had one I had to call. I had to keep close eye on her because I can't bail you out, honey. And I know,
let me tell you,
I know you this close.
I'm getting ready. You guys may not. I'm getting ready to just don't pass no judgment. I'm just going to tell you this is just the truth. It's going to be in my next book, though. So I understand why women snap. I do. I understand. So I took my kids to school, and I was watching. I was doing the kitchen. The snap came on. I stopped what I was doing, and I was like, "What, girl?" Next thing I know, I had a notepad.
No,
writing stuff down. Now I didn't want to kill him. I just wanted to wound him deeply enough that when you limp, you got to think about me. That's all. So I was writing stuff down. And because it used to come on, be on all day, right? Mm-hmm. And I was watching it religiously.
That is hilarious.
One day, the Lord, in his gentle, sweet voice, said, "Turn it off." Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm looking intently, right? I know, I'm so ashamed. He said, "Turn it off."
Wow.
So I took the remote and just had an attitude, flicked it off, right? Then he told me to go upstairs to my office and shred the notebook. I said, now the devil is.
But that's the beauty of the love of God. Like he allowed you to have that moment. Like you really thought you were about to conjure up something.
I thought I was going to conjure up something. I know, with my saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized, speaking in tongues, as the Spirit give us utterance. Self, yes.
Yes.
I went up to my office and I started shredding, and I was boo-hoo crying.
Wow.
But this is what I was after. This is what he was after. He didn't care that I wrote the book. He was after my obedience to give up my right to be right.
That's good. That's good.
I was crying like somebody stole something from me. I was giving up my right. I felt like I had the right to write this. I had the right to feel this way. I had the right. It's my right. This happened. My victim, he was shredding my victim mentality.
That's good. That's good.
And I tell you, it was freeing, but it was the hardest thing for me to do, because we can hang on. We know we're not going to do anything, but just the thought. That's my thought. It's my feeling. It's mine. It's how I'm going. This is mine. And he said, give that to me, Debra. Give me that. And I was like, no. Give me that. That's why I don't hold back, and I don't play with this thing, because it is so serious. And if we're not honest with God, if we're not, he's gonna get what he wants out of you. He's gonna get it one way or another, kicking, screaming. However, he's gonna get because his word will not return unto him void.
Absolutely.
But he wants us free to love him freely, to love others freely, to honor him and to honor those, and to understand that we are truly fearfully and wonderfully made. And though our life has truly been altered, it is not over.
Yes. Yes. Well, I don't know if those were your final words, but
it could be my final words.
that was good. That was meaty, and I'm not going to, because we've been talking well into an hour, and even though I have more questions, I'll save that either for a part 2 or for a conversation in the community at another time. But this has been very rich. Do you have anything? I'm not going to just assume, but do you have any other words of inspiration, motivation, encouragement that you want to share before we conclude?
Take your power back. Understand who you are. And we have given people too much power over us anyway. But learn to take your power back and get in God's face. Really get in his face. And don't leave there until it's clear what you're to do or what he's wanting to say. Because he wants to talk to you. He wants to speak to you. He has instructions for you. He has a purpose. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to give you a hope and a future. His desire is to give you an amazing future that he had planned for you before the very foundation of the earth. You were always in his mind. You were always on his heart, regardless of the circumstances in which you're in. My sister, my brother, you belong to God. You're his daughter. Do you think he's going to let the enemy run crazy over you? Absolutely not. If you're going through and you're struggling and he has given the enemy permission, he can do nothing without the permission of God. Nothing. He can do nothing on his own. Ask Job. And if he's given his permission for this to come and that to come and that to come, all of it is to know is to build you and to strengthen you and to equip you and to teach you and train you, because there's a line of people coming behind you that need what you have. Please don't hold back from what we need. Please do what you need to do so that we can benefit from the oil in your life, so that people can be healed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I know.
No, sorry. No,
Okay.
sorry. I told you already. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you. As I told you, I have, many people that are very close to me that I care deeply about, that have walked through, and to see what you're doing to help usher people from where they are to see who God says that they are, to be able to get to their next, I think it's not only necessary, it's amazing. I know it's sacrificial in many ways, but I know it's also very rewarding, because you didn't know that you would have to go through to help get them through.
Not at all.
To be able to make it beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm going to be teaching a class. It's going to start in October, and the classes are based upon my book. So I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
About
Please
that.
do.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you guys for listening in. Thank you guys for commenting. I will put up again, just in case you missed it. This is her book, Life Altered, Not Over: My Silent Journey to Wholeness. It is on Amazon. You can get it directly from her website or Cash App. So if you choose to do the later two options, her website or Cash App, it will be signed from her to you. It is $12 on the website and Cash App. So you can Cash App her the $12 and put your address in the memo line, and you would be able to get a copy. And like I told you, I have mine, and it is very, very, very rich, full of wisdom, full of insight.
Thank you.
And she walks us beautifully through how God took her through that journey to wholeness. So you guys, thank you for watching. I'll be back next week, same time, same date. Dr. Debra, I'm going to ask that you hold out, hang out with me for a second in the studio as we get ready to wrap up. So again, thank you guys for your continued support. Come back next week, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, all the things, and listen to the announcements that are coming up from the outro. And thank you again, Dr. Debra, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate you.
Would you like to join us behind the scenes of Women Who Win? We're building a team of amazing thought leaders to grow with us. Please send an inquiry email to info@simplytammy.com for more information. If you enjoyed the conversations on Women Who Win, let's connect beyond this space. Join us in the Our Common Thread community, where we are celebrating our stories and having deeper conversations. Visit simplytammy.com/connect to subscribe to the community.